So Luke, can you give me a sort of a bit of detail about Returnal and what is Returnal?
Yeah, sure. So it's something that I started with my co-founder Jake. He is also my uncle. We worked together previously in another business, dealing with customer returns from big retailers, and we noticed a bit of a pain point there, and a lot of waste really. So we made Returnal, which is a piece of software that's deeply customized for any retailer, and it enables them to buy back products from their customers. So say you might have had something for 3 years and you've kept it in pretty good nick, you look after your stuff, and you think you'd like some value for it, but you don't want to go through the hassle of selling it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, dealing with the fees or the doorstep inquiries and things like that. So literally you can just pop on to the retailer's site, click through the flow, pick your item, it gets collected for free, and we give you a bit of store credit. So you can go back into the store and, purchase something new and give your product a second or third life rather than, tipping it or going through that hassle.
What then happens to that second-hand product? What does the retailer do with it?
So depending on the item's condition, obviously each retailer has a different preference. Some will take things as new, things with minor imperfections, things with cosmetic damage. Some just want the as new products. If it's whatever it fits, it'll probably go back to an outlet store, say, for that retailer, or be sold through another exit route.
Your strategy from day one in your business has been to be as visible as owners as possible, and to leverage visual media. So what do you do now? And what is your ambition for your visuals, I guess?
Sure. So at the moment, and I know we've spoken about this sort of before, because I called you for a bit of advice, and it's a pretty primitive setup, but you're right. What we wanted to do was make sure that we were just out there, in a video format, which I think is really powerful. It's easy for us to just be conversational and talk about what we're doing, whether it's successful or not. We find that sort of radical transparency is super important to us. A lot of people on social platforms, as we know, kind of only give over their best self. It's nice to invite people into the journey and say, hey, look, we don't know all the answers. Sometimes we get stuff wrong, sometimes we get it right. And you kind of generate a bit of advice and engagement. And certainly you watched one of our videos and called and went, hey, I've had a thought about this.
Yeah.
And so it works in that way.
It's highly visual, which is what we do.
Yeah.
Also, we're friends. And I was like, I will spend the time because I know Luke and I value him as a human. So I spent some time watching it. I found the content interesting, engaging, humorous.
Yeah.
But I thought, because we're friends, I'll give him a little call and see what I can help with advice wise to try and elevate a little bit of that to improve. And actually you've put a couple of things in place already.
No, it was great. And I went ahead and went, brilliant, I'll do all those things. And I did them. I think it was the next video that I put out. And so it's really valuable, and we found that works in the sector that we're in as well. People are coming to us through that. Obviously at the start of the business we were chasing and knocking on doors and sending out cold outreach, and we've slowed down on that now because people are coming to us going, I've seen your content, can you tell me a bit more about it? So it's a really, really useful tool, and it's been the most captivating tool that we've used over emails, phone calls, marketing. Really, the video has been one of the most powerful things.
Why do you think that is, though?
I think it makes you relatable.
Yeah.
People can see who they're dealing with. And I think that's half the battle. I used to do a bit of marketing and reading about success stories. It was like companies that they didn't promote you a product. They didn't go, here's a picture. There was one at a surf company. Here's a picture of our surfboard, right? And our surfboard does this and this. It was just the guys who made the surfboards going around having food, drinking beer, surfing a bit, and people are like, I'm really interested in these people's life and their journey. Oh, cool, you sell some surfboards? I'll have a look at that.
What then are your aspirations for your visuals, I guess, going forward?
Well, to get them slightly better quality, because as I said to you, I film on a phone on a tripod, and then I push that into LinkedIn, which crushes any possible positive editing that I've done.
Yeah,
yeah, which I understand that it's just the nature of the beast. Some different angles and things like that. I just need probably a bit more equipment. Not saying like top of the range equipment, maybe a couple of extra phones and a couple of extra tripods
would be fine. Yeah, that's what I always say to people. I was chatting to a guy who came in for some training. And he was like, "Oh, I've only got the one camera, and so I can't really mix it up." And I said, "Cool. Well, in my kitchen drawer, there are about 3 old phones. Get a little bit of just a little phone bracket off of Amazon for a £5,
of course, yeah, and
a baby tripod that's like £1, whatever, a couple of quid off Amazon, and give yourself a couple of those old phones that maybe make them cameras for 10 quid, and that is very Returnal spirited.
It is, isn't it? Absolutely. So, yeah, that's the way to do it.
It's stuff that you might have kicking around the house that's doing nothing, that's gathering dust.
There's so many things out there, obviously in this sense for your videos, but in general, everybody's got a load of stuff around that's gathering dust, and a lot of the time it's easier for them to just tip it at the end of the day. Well, hopefully we'll provide them another way for them to earn something and give something back at the same time.
When you start your visuals, a lot of people have this, I don't want to say panic, but they have an opinion about what people will think of them when they put themselves on video. They get a mixture of fear of doing because they don't want to be judged, coupled with maybe a bit of imposter syndrome about, well, who am I to be making video content, putting it on the internet and telling people things, right? There was a bit of trepidation around getting started. And what did you do to try and overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, not massively, in the sense, I think we've both got the same sort of quality that we think is quite valuable in co-founders, which is you kind of got a bit of maybe out of place self-confidence, but you have to kind of believe your own shtick and what you're going to achieve. And we both knew that we wanted to do it, and we both sort of accepted that it's probably not going to be very good at the start. But like you say, you've just got to do it. And
that's better.
Yeah, we figured we'll learn on the go. And
you started off with one phone on a thing, and then you added some mics in,
and we had these tiny little mics that was attached to a plastic plant in front of us.
Amazing.
And
Renegade,
and it would switch off halfway through and sometimes cut to the phone audio. We were like, cool, okay, well, that's what we put out today. And again, that's that bit of transparency where you go, hey, look, we messed this up.
Before I ran a professional film company, I worked with you, and I did cameras and media and stuff before, and I have turned up to a job to photograph something with no SD card, and I've had to literally, with a tail between my legs, literally dash off 100 miles an hour to go and find one from somewhere and do it. We've driven the length of the country in the early part of our business to go and film in London, and the tripods hadn't got packed. So we've had to buy tripods at the closest Currys and make do with cheap, crappy, flimsy gear just to get through a shoot, right? And these things happen, and as a result, over time, you go, right, well, let's put some more procedure, more process, double check things. Now every bit of gear is double checked before it leaves the studio for a shoot, because you remember that
feeling that you had when you didn't do that, of
where
course.
You're like, oh my God, I have absolutely shafted this. This is a real problem, right? And I think that people are so afraid of the failing part that they don't get to the success part because they just sit and they don't do.
I think, I would say founders in general kind of have that knack for problem solving under pressure. Right.
And we love a gamble.
Yeah, exactly. You like a bit of a risk.
We love a little risk. Manage risk. Yeah, not necessarily like complete balls out risk.
No. Like, not going head first.
No, but let's throw a couple £100 at that or 300 quid at that, 500 quid at that, and see what happens.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if you'd been in more of a conservative role, and where we were,
exactly,
you'd need a business case, and you'd have to get 3 quotes, and you'd have to, go to 10 meetings.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you could spend £175.
Well, you do all of that, and then it gets to the top of the chain, and they go, no,
we're not going to do that.
Okay, brilliant.
And so as a result, I think there is that excitement that comes with being able to throw things at a wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
So that's quite cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So I always ask every guest, like, what are your top 3 tips for getting going visuals?
Take some advice. Just do it. And sound.
Sound is really key.
Sound is really key.
It's really key. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
Like visuals, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Sound is...
If people can't understand what you were saying, they just drop off immediately.
It's so quick.
I mean, a perfect example of that was when we had these tiny mics, and we'd put our video on LinkedIn, and it would do auto captions for us.
Yeah.
We'd have we'd be howling just watching the video back with the suggested auto captions from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh my God, this is a completely different conversation. So if there's anybody there who is hearing impaired and they're watching this, they're going to go, I've got no clue what these boys do. Something about fishing, or, it was just completely random. So as soon as we got better mics, the whole thing just felt a little bit more valuable.
And more professional.
Of course.
All of a sudden, it looks different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mate, thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, thanks.
I really appreciate it. I wish you and Jake enormous success. I think what you're doing is brilliant. And of course, I love you. So,
love you, mate.
All the very best for 2024 and beyond.
Thank you so much.